What are the main types of vocalizations in dogs, and how can understanding these vocalizations help a trainer effectively address behavioral issues? Answer: dogs use vocalizations like barking, whining, growling, and howling to communicate. Each sound conveys different messages depending on context and intent. Barking, often used to signal alertness or a need for attention. For example, a dog might bark to warn of an intruder or to seek interaction. However, excessive barking can indicate anxiety or boredom, and understanding this can help address underlying causes. Whining typically signifies discomfort, anxiety, or a desire for attention. It can be useful to interpret this vocalization as an indicator of a dog's emotional state, helping trainers develop effective behavioral modification strategies. Growling can indicate fear, aggression, or discomfort, but it is also a sign of communication, as dogs may growl to warn or to express frustration. A skilled trainer must differentiate between aggressive growling and play-related growling. Howling, commonly used to communicate with other dogs over long distances or in response to certain sounds. Jeet sirens, while not typically associated with aggression, howling can be a form of attention-seeking behavior that may need to be addressed. A dog in a multi-dog household begins displaying aggressive behavior towards another dog. How would you address this issue considering the concept of dominance and submission within the social hierarchy? Answer: aggression in multi-dog households can often be a result of a struggle for dominance or a response to perceived threats. Addressing this issue requires understanding canine social hierarchy and implementing structured interventions. Assessing the cause. First, it's crucial to understand why the aggression is occurring. Is the dog asserting dominance over the other, or is it reacting out of fear or anxiety? Behavioral cues such as posture, ear position, and tail movement should be analyzed. Establishing leadership. As a trainer, you should emphasize the importance of leadership and boundaries. The dogs need to understand their place in the household's hierarchy. This often involves ensuring that the more aggressive dog is not allowed to challenge leadership through aggressive behavior. Positive reinforcement. Rewarding calm and submissive behaviors rather than reinforcing aggressive behaviors is key. Gradual, controlled introductions and positive reinforcement for non-aggressive interactions can help reduce tension between dogs. Rules and guidelines from the American Kennel Club Act and the Pet Professional Guild emphasize the importance of clear leadership and consistency in behavior correction to prevent escalation of aggression. When working with a first-time dog owner, you notice that they are confused about the concept of reinforcement in dog training. How would you explain the difference between positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, ensuring that the client understands the principles in a practical context? Answer: to ensure a clear understanding of reinforcement principles, you should positive reinforcement. This occurs when a desirable behavior is followed by a reward encouraging the behavior to happen again in the future. For example, giving a treat when a dog sits on command. Negative reinforcement. This involves the removal of an aversive stimulus to increase the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. An example is stopping the use of a leash correction once the dog ceases pulling, encouraging the dog to walk calmly on a leash. The key difference lies in the use of stimuli. Positive reinforcement adds something rewarding, while negative reinforcement removes something unpleasant. Helping the client recognize how both types of reinforcement can be used to encourage desired behaviors and ensuring they know how to apply these strategies in real-world training will make the process clearer. Relevant law guidelines. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior (AVSAP) recommends using positive reinforcement techniques as the most humane and effective method of training. A client brings in a dog that displays fear and aggressive behavior when interacting with strangers. The client is worried about the dog's safety and potential harm to others. What steps would you take to address this behavior, and how would you communicate your approach to the client? Answer: to address fear-based aggression, a structured desensitization and counter-conditioning program is key. Desensitization. Gradually expose the dog to the fearful stimulus, e.g., strangers at a low intensity, starting at a distance where the dog feels safe. Over time, decrease the distance, allowing the dog to build tolerance. Counter-conditioning. Pair the presence of strangers with positive experiences, e.g., treats, play, to change the dog's emotional response. The goal is to associate strangers with positive outcomes rather than fear. Safety protocols during the training process ensure that the dog is securely managed, e.g., on a leash or in a controlled environment, to prevent aggressive incidents. Client education. Explain that progress may take time and consistency is key. It's important to set realistic expectations, especially with fear-related aggression, which requires patience and gradual exposure. Clear, empathetic communication with the client, ensuring they understand the nature of the behavior and the steps involved, helps them remain patient and supportive throughout the process. Mr. Miller is a new client who is eager to train his dog but has a habit of using harsh methods like yelling or physical corrections when his dog doesn't obey commands. How would you handle this situation professionally, and what guidelines would you refer to when discussing the use of humane methods? Answer: in this scenario, the primary goal is to redirect Mr. Miller's approach to training in a way that aligns with positive, science-based techniques. Understanding the situation, acknowledge Mr. Miller's frustration and explain that while it's natural to want quick results, harsh methods can harm the dog's trust and hinder training progress. Education, explain how positive reinforcement techniques are proven to be more effective in the long term, and that using forceful methods can lead to fear and anxiety in the dog, which may worsen behavior problems. Guidelines and laws. Refer to the Pet Professional Guild's Code of Ethics and the American Kennel Club's Training and Handling Guidelines, both of which emphasize the importance of humane training practices. You should explain that under current animal welfare laws, especially those in the Animal Welfare Act, using physical punishment can be considered inhumane and may violate animal protection standards. Redirecting the client. Offer to demonstrate techniques based on positive reinforcement and involve the client in the process, showing them how effective these methods can be in achieving desired behaviors. Why is early socialization critical for a dog's development, and what are the long-term impacts of inadequate socialization during puppyhood? Answer: early socialization is crucial as it helps a puppy develop a well-rounded temperament, fostering confidence in various environments and situations. Lack of proper socialization during this critical window from 3 to 14 weeks can lead to behavioral issues such as fear, aggression, and anxiety. Benefits of socialization: puppies that experience a variety of people, animals, and environments during this period are less likely to develop fear-based behaviors and are better equipped to handle new experiences without stress. Consequences of inadequate socialization: dogs that miss this early exposure may become fearful or reactive in unfamiliar situations, leading to aggression or avoidance behaviors. These behaviors can be difficult to modify in adulthood. Guidelines. The American Kennel Club Act stresses that responsible breeders and trainers should ensure puppies are exposed to diverse stimuli in a positive, controlled way to build a foundation for well-adjusted adult dogs. How can you help a client set realistic training goals for their dog, and why is it important to establish these goals in the initial training session? Answer: setting realistic goals helps ensure that the client remains motivated and that training is effective. Assessing the dog's behavior. Begin by observing the dog's baseline behavior, including any problem behaviors, e.g., pulling on a leash, aggression. Breaking down goals. Help the client set incremental goals. For example, if the dog is reactive on walks, the goal could be to achieve calm behavior in low distraction environments before moving to busier settings. Realistic expectations. It's important to emphasize that training takes time and not every goal will be achieved in a single session. Set measurable goals and outline the steps needed to achieve them. Client education. Explain the importance of consistency and patience, as well as how regular progress tracking will contribute to long-term success. How can a trainer interpret and respond to a dog's nonverbal cues, particularly in situations where the dog is displaying signs of stress or discomfort? Answer: dogs communicate a lot through body language, and a trainer must be able to read these nonverbal cues to adjust training methods accordingly. Common stress cues include tension in the body. A dog that is stiff or tense may be feeling uncomfortable or threatened. Tail position. A low or tucked tail often indicates fear, while a raised tail can indicate alertness or aggression. Ear position. Ears that are pinned back may signal fear or anxiety. Avoidance behaviors. Looking away, backing up, or turning the head can indicate discomfort or a desire to avoid a situation. By recognizing these cues, a trainer can modify the environment or the training approach to ensure that the dog feels more comfortable and less stressed. Training guidelines from the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants (IAAC) encourage trainers to use low-pressure, non-confrontational methods to reduce stress during training sessions. How would you handle a situation where a client disagrees with your training approach, particularly when they are resistant to using positive reinforcement methods? Answer: the key in such a situation is to maintain professionalism and empathy while providing clear evidence-based explanations. Listen to the client's concerns, Understand why the client is resistant. They may have had negative experiences with previous training methods or feel unsure about new techniques. Educate the client. Explain the scientific principles behind positive reinforcement, focusing on its benefits in fostering long-term sustainable behavior changes. Use examples of how this method leads to better results without causing stress or anxiety. Demonstrate the method. If possible, show the client how positive reinforcement works in practice with their dog. This demonstration can help them see firsthand how effective and humane this method can be. Build trust. Ensure the client understands that your goal is to work collaboratively for their dog's well-being and that you are committed to their success. What strategies would you use to facilitate positive interactions between a dog and a new puppy in the household? Answer: facilitating positive interactions between a dog and a new puppy requires careful management of the initial introduction and ongoing interactions. Gradual introduction: introduce the dogs in neutral territory, avoiding any areas that either dog might consider their own space. Use positive reinforcement to reward calm behavior during introductions. Supervised playtime: monitor early play sessions to ensure that the adult dog does not become overwhelmed or too rough with the puppy. Encourage gentle interactions and use treats to reinforce calm behavior. Training for both dogs: ensure both dogs understand basic commands, especially sit, stay, and leave it. This provides structure and helps manage behavior during interactions. Ongoing management: gradually increase the time the dogs spend together, always ensuring positive reinforcement is used to encourage good behavior and prevent conflict. What is the primary goal of positive reinforcement-based training, and how does it differ from punishment-based training techniques? Provide examples of when positive reinforcement is most effectively used in dog training. Answer: the primary goal of positive reinforcement-based training is to increase the likelihood of a desired behavior by introducing a rewarding stimulus immediately following the behavior. This technique relies on rewarding desirable actions to strengthen the bond between trainer and dog, ensuring that the dog associates the action with a positive outcome. Positive reinforcement contrasts with punishment-based methods, which aim to decrease undesirable behaviors by introducing an unpleasant stimulus, e.g., verbal, scolding, or physical reprimand. Positive reinforcement fosters trust and a more positive relationship between the dog and handler. Examples: sit. Rewarding a dog with a treat every time it sits on command will increase the frequency of sitting when commanded. Come. A dog will be more likely to come when called if rewarded with praise or a treat every time it obeys. Explain the difference between shaping and chaining behaviors in dog training. Provide an example of each technique in a training scenario. Answer: shaping involves reinforcing successive approximations toward a target behavior. It starts by rewarding behaviors that are close to the desired behavior, gradually raising the criterion until the dog performs the target behavior. Chaining involves linking together individual behaviors to form a more complex sequence. Each behavior in the chain is reinforced only after the previous behavior has been completed. Example of shaping: teaching a dog to roll over. Reward the dog for lying down. Reward the dog when it starts to turn its body. Reward when the dog completes the full rollover. Example of chaining: teaching a dog to perform a trick like retrieving a specific item. The dog is taught to sit. The next step is teaching it to pick up the object. Finally, the dog learns to bring the object back. What is the difference between counter-conditioning and desensitization, and how can these techniques be used to address fear-based behaviors in dogs? Provide a scenario where each technique is applied. Answer: desensitization involves gradually exposing a dog to a feared stimulus at a low intensity, then slowly increasing the intensity over time to reduce the dog's sensitivity to the trigger. Counter-conditioning involves changing the dog's emotional response to a stimulus by pairing it with a positive outcome, treats, praise, to replace the fearful reaction with a more positive one. Scenario for desensitization: if a dog is afraid of thunderstorms, a trainer might start by playing a recording of thunder at a low volume while providing treats or toys, gradually increasing the volume as the dog becomes more comfortable. Scenario for counter-conditioning: for a dog fearful of strangers, each time a new person approaches, the trainer can give the dog treats or praise, associating the presence of strangers with positive experiences, reducing the dog's fear response over time. Relevant guidelines: according to the AVSAB, both techniques are essential for addressing fear-based behaviors, with counter-conditioning often being the most effective for strong emotional responses. Mr. Thompson has a 3-year-old border collie named Rex, who displays signs of separation anxiety whenever Mr. Thompson leaves the house. Rex engages in destructive behaviors, such as chewing furniture and howling loudly. What steps should Mr. Thompson take to help manage Rex's separation anxiety? Answer: To manage separation anxiety, Mr. Thompson should take the following steps. Gradual desensitization. Mr. Thompson should start by leaving Rex alone for short periods and gradually increase the duration. This helps Rex become accustomed to being alone without feeling distressed. Positive reinforcement. Before leaving, Mr. Thompson can reward Rex for calm behavior and avoid excessive attention seeking before departure. This teaches Rex that being calm when left alone leads to positive outcomes. Create a safe space. Setting up a designated area for Rex, such as a crate or a quiet room with toys and comforts, can help reduce anxiety by creating a sense of security. Counter-conditioning by pairing departures with something enjoyable, e.g. a treat dispensing toy or long-lasting chew. Rex will begin associating his owner's departures with positive experiences. Relevant guidelines. The VSAB and other behavioral experts suggest these approaches alongside consulting with a professional dog trainer if anxiety persists. What are the key signs of fear-based aggression in dogs, and how should a trainer address such behavior? Additionally, what is the difference between fear-based aggression and territorial aggression? Answer. Fear-based aggression in dogs often manifests as growling, baring teeth, barking, or snapping when the dog perceives a threat. This type of aggression occurs when a dog feels it is in danger and is trying to protect itself. Key signs include a tucked tail, cowering, and avoidance behaviors, coupled with sudden aggressive outbursts if the dog feels cornered. Addressing fear-based aggression. Avoidance of triggers. The dog should be gradually exposed to triggers through desensitization and counter-conditioning, helping the dog become more comfortable and confident. Positive reinforcement. Reward calm behaviors when confronted with fear-inducing stimuli. Safe space. Allowing the dog to retreat to a designated safe space can prevent confrontations that might escalate aggression. Territorial aggression is different because it arises when a dog feels the need to protect its home or space. This type of aggression is often directed toward other animals or people that enter the dog's perceived territory. How does the law and reward method differ from other forms of positive reinforcement in dog training? Provide a scenario where this method can be applied effectively. Answer. The law and reward method involves using a treat or toy to guide a dog into performing a desired behavior. The trainer uses the item to attract the dog into the correct position, e.g. sitting, and rewards the dog once the behavior is completed. This method differs from more general positive reinforcement in that it directly involves the trainer guiding the dog physically into the behavior rather than waiting for the dog to perform the behavior independently first. Example, when teaching a dog to sit, the trainer holds a treat above the dog's head and moves it backward over the dog's head. The dog will naturally sit to follow the treat, and the trainer rewards the dog for completing the behavior. Relevant guidelines. The American Humane Society recommends using laws in conjunction with other training methods to avoid over-reliance on treats and encourage independent behavior. What are some common causes of regressive behavior in dogs that have previously been trained, and how can trainers address these issues? Answer. Reversion to previous behaviors. Regression can occur due to various factors, including changes in environment or routine. Moving to a new home or changing the dog's daily routine can lead to confusion and anxiety, causing regression in previously learned behaviors. Health issues. Pain or illness can affect a dog's ability to perform learned behaviors. Inconsistent reinforcement. If reinforcement is inconsistent, a dog may not maintain previously learned behaviors. To address regressive behavior consistency, trainers must reinforce the learned behaviors consistently and in a structured manner. Health check. It's important to rule out any medical issues that could be affecting the dog's behavior. Revisit training. Return to foundational training steps, reinforcing the desired behavior with positive reinforcement. What are the basic principles behind scent detection training in dogs, and how can this skill be applied in real-world scenarios? Answer. Scent detection training involves teaching a dog to identify and alert their handler to specific smells, a skill often used in search and rescue or detection work. The process involves association. The dog learns to associate a specific odor, e.g. narcotics, explosives, or missing persons, with a reward. Search training. Once the dog has learned the odor, they are trained to search for it in various environments, using their sense of smell to locate the target scent. Alert training. The dog is trained to alert the handler when the scent is located, typically by sitting, pointing, or pawing. Real-world scenario. Scent detection is crucial in narcotics detection. A dog trained to detect specific drugs might be used at airports, searching luggage for traces of illicit substances. Relevant guidelines. According to the International Association of Canine Professionals, scent detection training should be gradual with positive reinforcement given for correct alerts, ensuring a high level of accuracy and reliability. What are some effective methods for addressing fear-based behaviors in dogs, and how can trainers ensure the approach does not increase the dog's anxiety? Answer: to address fear-based behaviors, trainers can use gradual exposure. Start with low-intensity exposure to the fearful stimulus and gradually increase intensity as the dog becomes more comfortable. Positive reinforcement. Reward calm behavior in the presence of the stimulus to create a positive association. Counter conditioning. Pairing the fear-inducing stimulus with something positive, e.g. treats or toys, can help change the dog's emotional response. It's important that exposure does not overwhelm the dog, as too much too soon can increase anxiety rather than reduce it. Relevant guidelines. The AVSAB recommends a gentle, step-by-step approach to desensitization and counter-conditioning to help dogs overcome their fears. What strategies can trainers use to manage excessive barking in dogs, especially when it's related to boredom or attention-seeking? Answer: to address excessive barking due to boredom or attention-seeking, trainers can use environmental enrichment. Providing mental stimulation through toys, puzzles, or interactive games can reduce boredom. Ignoring attention-seeking barking while reinforcing calm behavior teaches the dog that barking does not result in attention. Training. Quiet command. Teach the dog to stop barking on command by rewarding quiet behavior after the dog has been prompted to stop. Relevant guidelines. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals (ASCA) recommends these strategies, emphasizing that consistent and patient training is key to managing nuisance barking effectively. When training a dog that displays aggression towards people, what ethical considerations should a dog trainer take into account to ensure they are using humane, effective methods while minimizing harm to both the dog and others? Please elaborate on the key principles involved in choosing appropriate training techniques. Answer: ethical considerations in aggression training require balancing the dog's well-being with the safety of others. Trainers must adhere to humane training practices that prioritize the dog's mental and emotional health. Methods such as positive reinforcement, desensitization, and counter-conditioning are preferred over aversive techniques. These principles ensure the dog's emotional state is not worsened and the training remains based on respect for the animal's needs. Ethically, trainers must also be aware of the dog's individual triggers, ensuring that any training methods chosen avoid unnecessary stress. In addition, trainers should educate clients on realistic expectations, emphasizing that managing aggression often requires patience and consistent work. Professional trainers must not use forceful methods, such as shock collars or choke chains, as they can cause trauma to the dog and increase anxiety or aggression, contradicting humane training ethics. How should a dog trainer navigate a situation where a client insists on using a method that is ethically and professionally questionable, such as using punitive techniques like shock collars to correct behavioral issues? What should the trainer do to manage this scenario, considering professional conduct and communication? Answer: in this situation, the dog trainer must uphold their professional responsibility by educating the client about the potential harm of punitive techniques. Trainers should explain why aversive methods are counterproductive, potentially exacerbating behavioral issues, and provide evidence-based alternatives. It's critical to maintain open communication and respectful dialogue to foster understanding. If the client insists on using unethical methods, the trainer should consider terminating the professional relationship if they believe the methods pose harm to the dog. The trainer may need to document the situation to protect themselves legally, as professional conduct requires them to prioritize the welfare of the dog over client preferences. Furthermore, the trainer should be aware of any state or local laws regarding animal welfare, as using harmful techniques could result in legal liability for both the trainer and the client. What are the primary considerations when training a service dog for a client with mobility impairments? Explain the key skills the dog must demonstrate and how the trainer ensures compliance with Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA) standards. Answer: when training a service dog for mobility impairments, the trainer must ensure the dog can assist with physical tasks like retrieving items, opening doors, providing balance support, and then picking up fallen objects. The dog must be calm, reliable, and able to function well in public spaces without distraction. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA), the dog must be trained to perform specific tasks directly related to the individual's disability. The trainer must document and demonstrate that the dog has been trained to provide assistance in a disability-specific way. Moreover, the trainer must maintain professional boundaries, ensuring that the dog is suitable for public environments and behaves appropriately without causing disruptions. It is crucial that trainers use positive reinforcement to ensure these tasks are taught effectively and humanely. In the context of a dog training session for a dog with severe separation anxiety, what is the role of client education and informed consent? How does a trainer ensure that the client fully understands the training process and potential challenges? Answer: client education is a crucial part of informed consent in dog training. The trainer must educate the client about the nature of separation anxiety, the challenges in modifying such behavior, and the realistic timeframes for seeing results. Informed consent involves explaining the potential risks and benefits of the chosen training methods, ensuring the client understands that some interventions may initially increase anxiety before improvement is seen. To ensure the client understands the training process, the trainer should break down the steps involved in desensitization or counter-conditioning methods, as well as the importance of gradual departures and reinforcement. The trainer must clearly outline the commitment required from the client, including maintaining consistency and providing feedback on progress. A written agreement outlining these points should also be shared to avoid misunderstandings. Maria owns 3 dogs, each with different behavioral issues, and has hired a dog trainer to help manage the situation. One of the dogs, Bella, is overly dominant, while another, Max, shows extreme fear and submissiveness. The third dog, Daisy, is relatively well behaved but becomes aggressive when food is present. How should the trainer approach this situation and structure the training program to accommodate the different needs of each dog while maintaining harmony in the household? Answer: in this scenario, the trainer should start by conducting a behavioral assessment of each dog to understand the triggers and underlying causes of their behaviors. The trainer should use individualized training plans for each dog while working on strategies that promote group harmony. For Bella, the dominant dog, the trainer might use obedience training to establish boundaries and reinforce positive behaviors with techniques such as positive reinforcement for calm behavior. For Max, the fearful dog, the trainer could use desensitization and counter-conditioning to gradually increase his confidence and reduce fear-related reactions. For Daisy, the food-aggressive dog, the trainer might work on resource guarding through controlled desensitization and reward-based training, ensuring she associates food with positive experiences and does not become territorial. It is essential that the trainer teaches Maria to provide consistent, fair discipline and use management tools such as separate feeding areas during the training period. Why is cultural sensitivity important when training dogs for clients from diverse backgrounds, and how should a trainer adjust their methods to ensure they are inclusive? Provide examples of how cultural differences might influence training preferences and what the trainer should consider. Answer: cultural sensitivity is crucial in dog training because different cultures have varying attitudes toward dog behavior, discipline, and the role of pets. Some cultures may prefer dominant training techniques, while others may favor more gentle and passive methods. A culturally sensitive trainer should avoid imposing their own training style on clients without considering their values and beliefs. For instance, in some cultures, physical corrections such as leash pops or alpha rolls may be more accepted, while in others, positive reinforcement may align better with cultural values. The trainer should always discuss these preferences upfront and tailor the training approach to be effective within the cultural context, ensuring that they still maintain ethical standards. The trainer should ask questions about the client's views on dog behavior and work to find training solutions that respect their cultural beliefs while adhering to humane training practices. Open dialogue is key in respecting the client's background and ensuring the dog's needs are met. What legal considerations should a dog trainer be aware of when working with aggressive dogs, and how can they minimize liability risks related to potential harm caused during a training session? Answer: dog trainers must ensure they are operating within the bounds of local animal welfare laws and liability regulations when training aggressive dogs. Legal considerations include the trainer's duty of care, ensuring the safety of both the dog and any people involved in the training process. Trainers should be aware of the local leash laws, requirements for working with dangerous animals, and any mandatory insurance coverage for their services. To minimize liability risks, trainers should obtain written consent from clients acknowledging the risks involved, ensure all interactions with aggressive dogs are supervised and appropriately managed, document the training sessions, noting any behaviors exhibited and the methods used, have a liability waiver signed by the client to mitigate risks of lawsuits in case of injury. Additionally, trainers should stay informed about local regulations regarding aggression management and training methods to avoid legal conflicts. What are the key challenges and ethical considerations when rehabilitating a rescue dog with a history of abuse, and what methods are most effective in creating a positive and lasting bond between the dog and the trainer? Answer: rehabilitating a rescue dog with a history of abuse presents emotional and psychological challenges, as these dogs may have developed severe fear, anxiety, or trust issues. Ethical considerations require trainers to ensure the dog's mental health is prioritized, using gentle and humane methods that do not re-traumatize the animal. Effective rehabilitation involves building trust through positive reinforcement and consistent, predictable routines, gradually introducing the dog to new experiences and people to prevent overwhelming the dog, using low-pressure training techniques like clicker training and counter-conditioning to help the dog form positive associations with new experiences. Trainers must remain patient and respectful, ensuring the dog has time to adjust to the training environment. It's also essential that the trainer collaborates with the rescue organization to maintain consistency in training practices. When working with a dog that has a physical disability, such as a dog with limited mobility, how should the trainer adapt their training techniques to ensure the dog's needs are met while maintaining realistic expectations of progress? Answer: when training a dog with limited mobility, the trainer must adapt the training environment and techniques to accommodate the dog's physical condition. The training should focus on building strength in non-affected areas, improving balance, and teaching the dog to navigate obstacles safely. The trainer should incorporate exercises that promote flexibility and strengthen muscles without overexerting the dog. For example, a dog with limited mobility may benefit from gentle, low-impact activities such as short, frequent training sessions or using assistive devices like ramps or harnesses for support. Realistic expectations should be set with the client, emphasizing progress rather than perfection. It's important to recognize that training may take longer and the dog may not perform certain tasks at the same level as a fully able-bodied dog. How should a dog trainer maintain professional boundaries with clients, especially when clients become emotionally invested in the training process or develop unrealistic expectations for their dogs? Answer: maintaining professional boundaries is essential to ensure the trainer-client relationship remains respectful and productive. Trainers should consistently set clear expectations for what the training process can realistically achieve, discussing achievable goals and progress timelines. When clients become emotionally invested, trainers should maintain empathy while gently guiding the conversation back to the dog's progress and the training plan. The trainer must be transparent about the dog's limitations and avoid overpromising results. If necessary, the trainer should consider referring the client to a counselor or behavior specialist if emotional attachment is impairing the decision-making process. Clear documentation of goals, timelines, and progress is essential to ensure that both the trainer and client are on the same page regarding expectations and outcomes.